Hello everybody, in this video I wanted to just come on and talk about how can you actually quit porn. It's something that a lot of young people and older people struggle with, and they don't know how to escape. You are constantly thinking and constantly beating yourself up for this habit, but what if I told you that one, this is actually how the system is designed, and two, the desire that you have itself is actually not evil. It's just how you're channeling it. So in this video, I'm going to explain to you how you can quit porn and how it is actually only possible using the Bible. And two, practical advice that you can actually walk away with so you can stay strong and make sure that you don't fall back into this. So before I start the video, I just want to ask you to like and save this video so you can come back to it later if you're in a time of need where you need advice on how you can avoid this. So let's get right into it, and I'll see you in a moment. So, porn. One of the biggest issues in our generation, because it is everywhere you go. When you go on your phone, you see it on all social media. When you go on Instagram, when you go on Twitter, anywhere you go nowadays, there is porn everywhere. And why is this? This is because now we're living in Babylon. People want money, so they are posting videos of themselves online and photos of themselves online, and they are seeking a predator. They are seeking for someone to consume their content. And what you don't realize is actually when you're engaging in this activity, you are becoming a victim to whoever is posting these images or these videos online. So not only are you consuming in a negative habit for you, but you're also becoming a victim to someone else's greed. And I'm sure that none of us want that. None of us want to be taken advantage of. We all need to be holy, because God says in the Bible, "Be holy, for I am holy." So once you realize you're a victim to a situation, you need to be strategical about it and think, okay, I'm a victim. There is something going wrong here. The first step is admitting that you're a victim to porn. Because if you're still watching it and you're still consuming it, you're a victim to it. But the issue isn't just porn. The root issue is actually deeper. It goes into how the entire culture is designed. When you go outside, how people are dressed, how people talk, the behaviors people have. So I'm going to give you extra advice on how you can actually quit lust as a whole and what the Bible says about this in general. If you're watching this video, it's actually the perfect time for you to implement the advice that I give you and the strategy to avoid this, because social media is only going to get worse and worse with these kind of issues and these kind of problems. So the first thing that you need to do, which is very, very obvious if none of you have done this by now, is to cut off all the sources of the triggers of the porn. Okay? So if you're searching for it, for example, on your browsers, you need to enable parental controls. You need to go into your settings and you need to turn off and lock it. So if you go on Apple, I'm going to have on the screen here, this is actually where you need to go to turn it off completely, to have these privacy features. So this is the first thing. But a Bible verse that clearly addresses the root cause of all of this in the first place is James 1:27. James 1:27 reads, "Pure religion and undefiled before God and the Father is this, to visit the fatherless and widows in their affliction, and to keep himself unspotted from the world." If you notice the last part, unspotted from the world, this doesn't just mean spiritually to not be in the world, but it can also mean literally and physically to be unspotted from the world. A lot of issues that guys have is they like to beat themselves up and they think that there's something wrong with them and there's a demon inside of them. But what if I told you that the lust inside of you is completely natural? If you're a healthy male and you get erections, which every single male and prophet in the Bible would have had. It's a completely natural response to being a male, to having the sexual organs that males have. So there's nothing wrong with this by itself. It's completely natural. If you're male, your testosterone spikes in the morning. You wake up with a morning wood, whether you have it or not. You wake up in the morning and you have an erection. It is a normal thing for a man to have. Okay? So whether there is girls that you see online or not, or outside, you're going to have that desire inside of you anyway, whether you see a woman or not. The woman is just a trigger and sparks that impulse to do those things to your body which are harmful. Okay? And the Bible says that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. So each time you're doing this, you're actually hurting yourself and you're opening up access to negative influence and demons. Okay? It drains your energy, it drains your focus, and there is nothing wrong with the desire itself. This is something that you have to fundamentally drill inside of your head. There's nothing wrong with the desire itself. It is naturally inbuilt into you as a man, but it's about how you redirect and channel that energy, which is what is important. Okay? So how do you actually control it? So if we go back to James 1:27 and we go to being unspotted from the world, you have to apply this verse strategically and practically into your life, which is wisdom. So being unspotted from the world, how we can interpret this is, if you're outside, for example, and you see somebody that you want to lust after, which is a sin in itself, which Jesus mentions in Matthew. He says anyone who looks at a woman already commits adultery inside of his heart. And what if I told you as well that it's actually impossible to completely avoid that as well? But Jesus was setting the benchmark of how high his standard is. So to completely avoid porn and to avoid lust, you want to completely avoid using the phone or social media. Why do you think monks go into the mountains to be completely silent and cut themselves off from the world? Because it is literally impossible to avoid this habit without cutting off any sort of trigger that could cause these impulses inside of you. An issue that I think a lot of guys struggle with as well is just a desire for longing or desire for love. If we use biblical advice, I hate to break your guys' hearts, but spiritually, all of us are called to be single and devote ourselves to Christ, to service. So before you think about finding a girlfriend or think about finding a wife, you need to address the root cause first. Okay? Jesus clearly says in the Bible that a wise man will build his house upon his teachings and upon his wisdom. So if you don't build your life upon his teachings and you don't fix the root cause first, you're gonna eventually have a house that comes crashing down. Your life will come crashing down if you don't listen to this advice. It can sound harsh, it can sound extreme, but this is just the truth. Spiritually, as men, we are all called to be single for our entire lives. Does that mean that all men should literally be single for their entire lives? No, it doesn't. Paul clearly says that if you are burning in lust, you physically cannot control it. It is better to get married. But the key word here is married. Not a girlfriend, not someone that you just met and you've been talking to for a little bit. Someone that you are ready to commit yourself to for an entire lifetime. And a marriage is a covenant between you and your partner and God. Okay? So, to expand on my point, people have this idea of love in the West. Something I've noticed is that everyone has this illusion that there's the one out there for you. Let me tell you guys that this is all bullshit. It's completely a waste of time. Okay? I'm not sure if it's just something that young people have, or if it's just this ideology that people in the West have in general. They think that there's the one out there for them, or there's the perfect woman. I'm sorry to break it to you guys, but this is completely and utterly bullshit. Okay? The reason that I'm saying this is because biblically in the Bible, we are all called to be single, but to have a partner, to find a partner, if it's either sent from God or you're burning in your lust. Okay? It can sound extreme what I'm saying, and it can sound crazy, but this is another root principle that you have to apply when trying to quit porn. So you have to imagine yourself in a state, okay, could I actually go without sex for the rest of my life? It might sound impossible in your head, but if you have faith and you apply the biblical advices, you will notice yourself getting stronger and stronger over time and wanting to avoid this habit. Okay? So personally, me, what do I do when I'm struggling extremely with lust? I have an extremely strong desire. It's summer. There might be lots of girls outside. I might be using my phone. I might be using social media. I might accidentally see something. Well, what do? Well, if you guys go to the gym, or you have any habit where you work on something and you progress over time, or it's literally like building muscle, right? I've came to a point now where if I see something, I'm completely disgusted by it. I think that females in general can be a beautiful thing, but when women are looking for attention, my desire now gets completely turned off when I see a woman showing or exposing herself in a way that is unholy. And you guys will be able to get to a point like this if you apply the same principles that I have, which is keeping yourself unspotted from the world. Literally meaning that when you are facing these seasons or weeks or months where your desire is so strong and you physically or literally cannot avoid it, you have to withdraw yourself from this situation or this world that you're in. So what I mean by this is, let's say it's summer and there's lots of naked people outside and there's lots of girls, or you're attracting a lot of attention. The best thing to do is literally to take a deep breath and withdraw yourself from that situation. Buy all the food that you need. Buy everything that you need. I'm not saying to literally lock yourself in your house, okay? That is not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is to be aware that if you're going to fall into sin and you're going to fall into these bad desires, to take a moment to strategize. Imagine you're at war. Imagine you're genuinely in a war and you have to prepare. Okay, let me get food for a few days. I'm going to sit at home. I'm going to go outside. I might sunbathe outside. I might go on a walk in a local area. You can even buy sunglasses or glasses to cover your eyes, literally, when you're outside, if you notice yourself struggling with lust. I recommend all of you, if you feel like that you're in a situation where you literally, you naturally cannot control yourself or your eyes, literally buy a pair of glasses. Look, I bought this pair of glasses. So if I am particularly facing a season where I'm struggling with lust, what I do, I whack these on. Okay? And now I cannot make eye contact or look at anybody who might be triggering desire inside of me. Okay? So now it's literally impossible for me to fall into lust or commit sin. Because the more and more that you lust after another person, the more and more it builds up in your subconscious. Okay? And there's Bible verses talking about how to stand firm in the faith. And if you stay strong, the devil will flee. He must flee. So if you feel like you've been caught, you feel like you've been attacked, you've been caught with lust really, really strongly and you don't know how to escape, just understand that by default you're to be unspotted from the world. Just do not put yourself in the realm of the physical world or the social media world. Don't use your phone. Don't go outside. Just literally sit in your house and just meditate on the Bible. Whether it's in your mind, I'm going to have the Bible verses below that I've mentioned in this video. And if you save this video, you can come back and you can go through it and you can just read it. And over time, once you start building this muscle and understanding more and more, okay, this is the fundamental spiritual framework that God wants me to live in my life, you're going to be able to quit porn, okay? It's a tough habit, especially if you're a young guy, but I promise you that you are going to be able to overcome this, okay? The last reason why I would say that people struggle with porn is because they really just do not understand what life is about yet in general. They have these ideologies in their head about these demonic ideologies in their head about what life's about. You want to chase after. Lust can be anything. Lust doesn't just have to be sexual things. Lust can be wanting excessive material wealth, or wanting an excessive amount of money or fame or woman. It can literally be anything, alright guys? So something that you have to understand when dealing with this issue is that you have to ground yourself. And unfortunately, a lot of people in the West, I have completely moved out of the West now. I've completely moved out of England, out of the US, out of Europe. And something that a lot of you guys struggle with is something called neuroticism. You are constantly chasing dopamine, constantly chasing attention. You don't know what you want. And that's one of the reasons why sometimes it can just feel like, what else is there in life but to indulge in sexual pleasures? And let me tell you that God has a calling for your life. If you're watching this, I'm not just saying this for the content. I'm recording this because I feel called to help as many people out as I can. And you, if you're watching this, if you're in this part of the video, it's clearly resonated with you and you're clearly here for a reason, because God might want you to watch this video, and God has called me to watch this video, so you're a recipient of my message. So if you're in the West right now, or you're struggling with these issues like porn, you have to understand that it's not necessarily your fault. The system, how it's designed, is to make you engage in hedonism. I already mentioned everything about social media, about girls out in the physical world, about Babylon, about the culture, how everyone their behaviors are designed to expose themselves and to get attention, because this is how the world is now. But you have to understand that you have to completely, if you want to cut out this habit, James 1:27, you have to be unspotted from the world completely, guys. You have to withdraw, cut back completely. I understand not all of you can literally not go out into public. I'm not saying to avoid going out in public. I'm not saying to be a schizo. I'm not saying to be a maniac. But I'm saying that if you truly want to live a life that's holy and pleasing to God and fully dedicate yourself to your service and to avoid defiling yourself, you need to do anything that you can. As I said, you can get glasses. You apply the biblical advice that I mentioned to you to strategize, to get extra food, to sit at home, to ground yourself, just to breathe, guys, okay? And sometimes your nervous system can become so bombarded or so overwhelmed by these triggers that you don't know what to do. Like, your body physically freezes, or you're caught at a moment where your self-esteem is lowered, okay? And I'm telling you now, guys, it's completely impossible to quit porn without using a biblical advice. It's completely impossible, okay? You have to follow everything that I've said inside of this video, but you also just have to fundamentally understand that you could be single for the rest of your life, and you could not touch yourself for the rest of your life, literally, You could literally not touch yourself for the rest of your life. If I told you that you're going to die at 80 and you're not going to watch anything, or you're not going to do anything with a girl from now on, you'd think, oh, how's that possible? That's going to be really, really hard. I'm telling you now, it is possible. And I'm telling you that God can be calling you for this lifestyle. Whether God is calling you for a marriage, for a partner in the future, or whether God is calling you to be celibate, I'm saying that these are the only two options that are on the table, okay? So, the last point that I just wanted to extrapolate on is, if you guys are living in the West, if you're sitting indoors all the time, or it's winter, or you're very, very bored, or you're pale, you have to understand that your body is in a mode where it's hypervigilant, it's seeking constant stimulation. Our bodies are naturally designed to engage in activity, to engage in some sort of service, and it's impossible to withdraw yourself from all stimulation completely, in the sense of, if you don't use your phone, you're going to want to express yourself through some sort of creativity, or you might want to socialize, or you might want to work with your hands, you might want to build something, you might, like if you're an artist, you might want to draw something, you might want to paint something. You might, if you're into cars, you might want to drive a car, you might want to race with your friends. There's so many different things that the human mind naturally wants to engage in. And the dopamine detox and all the stuff that you see online, like go without your phone or go without porn, is just not the right strategy. It's not the right thing to do. You just have to understand that you will always fall back into porn if you're using these social media apps like Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, etc. You're never going to be able to fully quit porn if you're still using them. So you need to make a conscious, strategic decision in your life, like a game plan. Like, okay, I'm going to enable the filters to block the porn that I can, and I am going to maybe even delete these apps, completely get rid of the apps. If you're not using the apps to make money, then why are you using them? There's no reason for you to be using them, and it is causing you to stumble. It's causing you to fall. It's holding you back from your potential, the destiny that God has called for your life. And this is a huge issue, okay? So I have made a community where I teach people what they need to know to ground themselves in their lives spiritually, how men can be called to fulfill their purpose and what they're called here to do. But also I teach health principles and how to maximize and boost your testosterone and your vitality through using ancient biblical principles. So I'm going to quickly put up on the screen, this was me a few years ago, and now, after moving out and after grounding myself and optimizing biblical principles and the Bible verses that have managed to transform my life, you can obviously see me now. This is what I've managed to transform myself into now through applying the wisdom that I've accumulated over the last 5 years. Okay? So I want to tell you guys now that it is possible to quit porn. It is possible to kill this habit. And with patience, with wisdom, with strategy, and with a group of men that you can be accountable to, it is completely possible. Okay? So I'm going to leave an invitation down below to Daniel's Den that you can join. And I'll have all the Bible verses down below that you can also read and come back to when you're in a time of trouble, or a time when you need to know, okay, what do I do? How do I quit this? Okay? And the framework that you need to have inside of your head to strategize and to understand that by default, you're called to be unspotted from the world, and that you need to withdraw yourself from social media or put any blocks that you need to, okay? You need to make a conscious decision. Do I need social media or not? Okay, no, I don't need social media. Or maybe yes, or okay, I use social media for business, so I still need to use it, but I'm only going to use it when I'm uploading a video, okay? So you have to understand what life is about. You have to be grounded. And a lot of this can stem from health issues. So this is why hormonal optimization is completely important. Is completely and extremely important. Okay, you need to get sunlight. You need to ground yourself. You need to eat the foods that God has intended and designed for your body, like fruit, and even things like meat and things like milk, these things must be consumed in moderation. But that's a story that is meant for another time, and something that I explain inside of my Daniel's Den. Okay, so the way that you eat can also cause inflammation or nervous system responses in your body that can actually incline you towards impulsive or destructive habits like porn. It can also be a hormonal issue as well, guys. You have to understand that you can apply the spiritual principles, but if you're hypervigilant and you don't know what you want in life, or you're struggling with your health, you're going to struggle with this. It's completely guaranteed, okay? So thank you for watching this video. I have the invitation below. I have all the Bible verses that you need, and if there is any videos or topics that you guys would like me to expand on in the future, or anything else that you struggle with, or you want a part 2, just let me know and I'll be more than happy to make it. So thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.